Ohio gozaimasu again, collectors. So today we have an ignition model, which is a rarity on my channel. When I very first started collecting over a year ago, one of my first purchases was an ignition model Skyline GTR 35. It's not a Skyline, okay, Nissan GTR 35. And it was great. But then I started looking at all the other models out there, and then I discovered the resin models, and so that's why I don't really have many ignition models, because ignition models are really expensive. They enter the realm of the low priced resin models, you know, the resin models with sheet windows instead of molded windows, and actual resin bodies and really tight details. But I'm gonna come to something else at the end of this video to maybe say I might collect more of these. Alright, let's see, it's been over a year since I've looked at this box. I have to imagine this is actually licensed because they're still in business. And not to be ethnocentric, but usually Japanese companies aren't fly-by-night operations. You know, those people obey laws. Okay, very loose cover. Very loose cover, so be mindful of that when you pull that out of the sleeve. Okay, so let me just check here. I don't see any tow hooks or you know, anything that I can snap off handling it, so I will take this off, and I'll just put it back on the stand later. So I'm not gonna really talk about this car because I've already spoken about it when I reviewed the Hobby Japan A90 Supra, GR Supra there. And I'll compare that model at the end of this as well. But I did look up here the Pandem USA website, and you can see the pricing of this body kit, 8,000 bucks or so, and those are the components you get. I think, you know, everything except for the rear wing seems like a pretty decent price. It's fair. I don't know if that rear wing is worth 2,800 bucks though. And then also, I'm not sure which wing it is. I have a suspicion it's this wing. Maybe that is worth 2,800. But when I look at this green wing, that just doesn't look like it's worth that much. But do be mindful, if you're getting body kits, you better make sure that thing was designed by an aerodynamicist. Otherwise, you're going to have some sort of lift when you hit high speed, and you're going to just fly or crash. You know, you're going to become unstable if your tires don't have much traction. And also, it's going to create a lot of drag, I think. Alright, let's see if these are the appropriate photos. I know very little about this car, or very little about the body kit, but that photo does seem to match up in its shaping. Let's see the side profile. Now this rear wing does not match in the... Oh, it does. Never mind. So the other ones are just green, so that's why I've showed those photos, but it seems like this side view is actually the molded rear wing, properly done. So, but this rear wing, not so much. So this guy probably bought all the other stuff, but saved money on the wing. Or maybe this wing actually is more aerodynamic or properly designed. I don't know. Alright, so let's look at this thing. I got this green because it is so crazy garish. First, I kind of feel like this car itself is a little bit garish looking. Now you have a wide body kit on it, double garish, and now you have a crazy metallic green, so it's triple garish, and I like to do things over the top myself. I will say though, my camera is making this look like a far richer green than my naked eye. My naked eye is telling me this is a much lighter green. Then this looks more saturated on my camera, and so I don't know what it's going to look like on your end either. But you can just see in the small movements I've shown so far, this clear coat is quite fantastic. It is not very wavy. If we look at the edge of that pick, it's quite, you know, good. And this isn't actually a sharp edge. I should probably actually pull out a metal ruler or something with a sharp edge. But anyways, that's just a nice clear coat, so very nicely done. Let's start with the wheels. That's what I always tend to gravitate towards. I'm not sure why that is. Alright, so I would have to imagine these are like TE37s, but I'm not really sure. So it's nice because the rim is chromed, and then the center is like a gunmetal, and then we have the 6-lug nut details. Is that accurate? I think that... no, it's not accurate. Oh wait, I can't even count. What's wrong with me? That's 5 lug nuts. I was gonna put a swear out there. Never mind. Okay, so there's the center. I don't know. That's the axle, I guess. Okay, so that wheel is quite fantastic. Same with the rear. Now, what's up with these brakes, though? I would imagine they're actually more like stock-sized brakes, and these wheels are oversized. If you look back at that original photo of the middle, it has oversized brakes as well. So, in fact, here, right? So this one's filling in the brakes quite a bit more, but those probably aren't stock Supra brakes. What do you think? Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm just a little thrown off by how small the axle rotor is, right? And there's a caliper, and it's very strangely molded. You see, the outline of the caliper is larger than the outline of the rotor, but it's behind the edge of the rotor, which makes absolutely no sense as far as a brake system goes. Right? The caliper always has to be in front of the rotor because it's really it's the front and behind it. It's gripping the rotor. So that's really strange, Ignition. It's almost like you don't even understand how a car works, and we're talking like basic things. You just literally put your car outside on a jack and you lift off the wheel and you look at what a brake looks like. But whoever modeled this has no clue. I mean, I sound harsh, but look at this. I mean, it's just weird, right? Hopefully I'm wrong, but no. So it's nice that the wheel can kind of spin. The rotor is attached to the wheel, which makes sense, and the caliper doesn't spin. So no, wait, the rotor doesn't spin. Yeah, all right. So I mean, it's nice that the caliper doesn't rotate. This one doesn't. It's got a lot of friction with the diecast fender. But yeah, the caliper is just weird. It should be closer to us. Alright, enough about that, so let's continue on. The tires, I guess. Very nice treads. And from the side, they don't look like truck tires. So the tires are good, although there's 2 divots there in that one, so some casting problem with that one. But maybe I could just flip it around, assuming they're symmetric. I think it can, so that's an easy fix. Alright, so the bottom here, it's got these little rivet marks, and I do see it on the side photograph. I have a suspicion this bottom is made of plastic. Yeah, alright. So it's a plastic bottom. What I'm wondering is the top. Yeah, it is cool to the touch, so I think it is made of metal. Ignition does make resin models, which are like $100, but I haven't bought one yet. Maybe someday, who knows. I bought dumber things in my past. Alright, so yeah, more of these rivet type of marks here molded throughout, and I guess they look okay. This side mirror here is rigid plastic, so be mindful if you drop this, that might fall off. It's got silver paint in there, so that's okay. Alright, it's got Rocket Bunny, Pandem. So that's kind of interesting because I know Pandem is a body kit, I know Rocket Bunny is a body kit, all from the same Japanese company. But it's like, why would you put both brands on one car? It's a Pandem kit, right? So I don't know if that Rocket Bunny should be there. It would be like kind of having like a beverage, say Coca-Cola and Tab. That's an old soda. Or Fresca, having Coca-Cola and Fresca on the same can. Alright, so I don't know what these bumps are, but I see them on the front photograph, so I guess that's accurate. This thing is missing the metal struts here. Yeah, the chin spoiler looks nice, and then inside the grill there is a texture, so that's good, you know. And there's really good separation of the black paint in here from the green, so nicely applied paint. Oh, these headlights are pretty nice. I mean, look at the clear lens, and you can see this molded and chrome painted looking LED emitters back there. It looks like there's like 6 LEDs back there. That's really cool. I like those headlights. Look at that, how I turn it. They're staggered, you know. So nicely done. Okay, The Toyota badge is very crisp, no complaints at all there. There's a little black printing here for like an air vent. The wiper blades, they are three-dimensional and they're molded into the window. Painted black, looks good. The interior's looking good so far. Let's go around to this side, hope there's no quality problems. No, I don't see any. So I imagine this must be the fuel filler. And interesting fuel filler. It's almost it's like a door handle or something. I imagine you grab it with your fingers and lift it up. Maybe I don't know. I had no idea. I haven't looked up photos of that. The door handle's pretty good too. It looks like a little bit of a recess for your fingers. You know, it's protruding, so that's nice. The side windows have nice, raised and painted black molding. It almost looks like they're a separate piece, like on a resin, but no, I think that's all one molded piece of plastic, just really well painted. So good job. Top rear window, no defroster lines, which I think is actually good, because if you're going to put thick ones on it, it makes it look worse. And then some more rivet marks back here holding the tail section on. Looks nice. Top of the tail is nicely separated from the green side caps there, side ends. Looks nice, and there's nice curvature as well. It seems to be a matte black finish, whereas the mirrors are more of like a glossy finish. Alright, got the Pandem logo there. And then wrap into the back. Let's see, let me get in a little closer. So first, the taillights, nice thick red lenses, and it looks like there's some sort of shiny chrome white bucket of some sort back there. You got the rivet marks under the wing, looking good. It's nice to see something on the license plate. So you have the brand and the parent company is TRA Racing. And then you have a whole bunch of silver dots here. I'm gonna imagine those must be LEDs, but correct me if I'm wrong. And then we have some blue ringed exhaust tips, and the middle of them is deep enough. They look pretty good. It's only the ring though, so well, maybe that's right. I mean, looking at the rear photo, you can barely see the exhaust. I would have to imagine this is maybe a titanium exhaust they're trying to duplicate, and only the edge is blue from the heat process. Alright, so on the bottom of this guy we have two screws in the back, one in the front. But oddly, man, this is a problem with a lot of brands. But this is now one of the bad ones. We have no clue. Alright, here we go. We at least know maybe IG made this. But it doesn't tell anyone what this car is. It would be nice. There's plenty of room, right? Just write Toyota Supra A90 Pandem body kit or something. Oh well. So, I'm kind of tempted to open this up. Seeing how they know some sensitive parts. Living on the edge. Let's go for it. Watch me break this thing. Alright, let's see here. 1. 2. 3 times a lady. Alright. Alright. There's a rear view mirror. That's pretty nice, I think, right? So that's cool. Nice little detail I didn't even notice before. Yeah, okay. Standard black molded details. And that's about it. So that's one of the criticisms I have for this brand. For the price of these things, this is the type of interior you expect on a $5 model. A Greenlight, an Auto World would have this much detail, right? So that's one of the criticisms. I think they should add extra color, or maybe buy some different plastic and mold it in a different color. I have a suspicion this is actually glued. This interior piece is glued down. I want it to come apart because I actually want to repaint this, since I have it. Oh, there we go, nice. Alright. So here's the construction of the brake system. The brake system that makes no sense. Or does it make sense? Maybe they put on back. No, they can't be put on backwards. Alright, so, you know what's going on? It's just that the whole thing is silver and it's chamfered. The caliper is chamfered, so that's what really exaggerates it looking like it's behind the face of the rotor. So, ideally they would have just added paint to the caliper itself. Even if the rotor is flat, they could have added the graphic so it doesn't look so weird. So again, this is another thing that, you know, less expensive brands would do. In particular, A64, they would be maybe half the price of this model, yet they would have painted calipers, and the brakes would probably be bigger than this. You know, although I will say maybe these are just supposed to be stock size brakes. But who's going to run stock size brakes if they can afford an $8,000 body kit on a Toyota GR Supra? All right, I would think those kind of people would buy bigger brakes. All right. Anyways, those tabs are what keeps the calipers from spinning. And there's the base. It's interesting. I'm not sure why they needed to have. I see. I was debating why did they have 2 screws instead of 1. I feel like they could have fit a post there, but they would probably have to have the screw head go through this, so it actually makes sense as to them having 2. So that's a nice, smart decision on their part, I think. Alright, well, now that the interior is out, and this is already triple crazy, I'm going to go quad crazy and probably paint this a photo shift green. I'll be back. There we go. You know, it didn't have quite the green. The seats are color shift green, but they don't look remotely close in green to the vehicle, so I went with just a blue for the majority of this interior. But I do think this looks a little crazier than before. Had a little bit of silver paint and stuff as well. Alright, let's get this guy back together. And so I added some green paint to those calipers, and I crossed over the flat surface of the rotor. So I think now they actually look more like calipers, you know, clamping a rotor. So I think that worked out. It's not a metallic green, but it's close enough. And then the interior, you know, it's just a little silver, extra silver and stuff like that in there. But yeah, you can really see the crazy blue rear deck there. And I'm not sure if you can see the seats so well, but maybe. Well, anyways, let's compare it to a couple other Supras. Alright, well, the first logical one would be the Hobby Japan version of this. And I gotta say, I do like this Hobby Japan because it has a matte gray metallic. It's metallic, yet you see absolutely nothing shining on that bodywork. So it's quite interesting. And I have an older generation Supra here. This one is by Tarmac Works, and it had this Blitz logo on it, which I used decal remover to remove, and so it's a little less garish for me. But it looks like a race car, and it has the plastic BNDS wheels on it, but also 3D printed brakes in there. So that's what's going on. This little spinning machine is really creates a lot of vibrations. You can just see that Supra vibrating like it's having a seizure or something. I've ordered a new one that's a totally different brand, so hopefully these reviews will be a little smoother, at least on the perimeter cars. Okay, so that's what's going on with those guys. I think it's time for this guy to take a spin on its own. Alright, so lots of things I want to talk about with this brand. My initial impressions, the first time I got my Skyline, or my GTR, I'm like, wow, this is really awesome. And it is still a cool model. But then I found the resin models have the clear sheet windows. The issue now I'm realizing after a year of collecting, I've had 2 resin models that had the windows pop. So let me just show you as a reminder, guys. Money doesn't buy you everything. You see this model? The rear glass here, how thin it is, which is nice, but it literally popped loose from the bodywork. And I just don't like this model enough to even attempt to try to fix that. And I know it's going to be hard to fix. I did fix the other one, which is on one of my Mad Max cars, and so that one was. It took a long time to fix it without, messing up the plastic. So, what I'm getting at is maybe Ignition, purposely chooses to have molded windows because molded windows can never pop loose. Now, sure, you're going to have a little distortion, trying to look through both panes of glass. In fact, I didn't even test that, so let's do that now. Let's see. Yeah, see the distortion with two panes? But in reality, it's not many people are going to look through two panes of glass on a die-cast model, right? You just want to have enough clarity to see what's on the inside, so you're only going to look through one pane of glass. Another thing I've noticed is, resin models have separate metallic wiper blades in most cases. In one of my favorite runs, my Ferrari 250 GTO, one of them just vanished, and I never took it off the stand. It's just by showing it in other reviews, it wasn't glued down apparently very well, and it's gone. It's gone forever. So one thing about, molded in windshield wipers, you're never going to lose them, right? So these are two things when I first started collecting I thought, made this brand a little bit subpar, because again, it is resin pricing, low-end resin pricing. But in the long run, it's a much more reliable product. A third thing is those side mirrors. I've had, some of the shiny side mirrors come loose, because the glue wasn't done right. So, although more reflective, having the shiny reflective stickers in a mirror, if they fall out, you have no mirror there anymore. Whereas silver paint, although it's not reflective, it's never going to get lost, right? So that's a third concession that Ignition model seems to make, maybe in the realm of long-term collecting. You can keep this model for 10, 20 years and you're never going to lose your side mirrors, you're never going to lose a wiper blade, and the windows will never pop loose. So they might be onto something, and so that's what I was alluding to at the very beginning of this video. Maybe I'll try out some other castings. Although I look at their NSX and they have, painted on turn signals. Now that's something I'm not really a fan of, not for this price. Other brands, again, 64 would have plastic turn signals. Okay, well anyways, this model is fantastic. The only criticism is the weird brake calipers. If you're not into modifying models, you're going to have to just accept the fact that those brake calipers look a bit weird. But if you don't mind getting a screwdriver out and being careful with some paint, it's not that hard of a fix, right? And while you're at it, spray some color into the plain black interior. So I think the most important thing for a model for me is the paint finish. And this thing has an immaculate, very, very smooth paint finish. Whether or not this paint finish is going to look this way in 10, 20 years, no one knows. But if it does, then this is definitely a model worth collecting for the long term, or a brand worth collecting for the long term. But sadly, we're going to have to wait to find out that answer. Alright guys, it's been a long one, but it's an expensive model, so I'm very critical, and I wanted to talk about this stuff because when I first started collecting, no one was like this. I just bought a bunch of models and I was just let down. So I kind of feel like it's my job to maybe pass along, what I think, whether it's good or bad, and so you don't waste your money. Although, let's face it, die-cast cars are a waste of money. You don't need this to survive. You should be buying food and shelter before these things. These are pure luxury goods, so that's why people buy $100 Hot Wheels, right? For me, I'd rather get 3 of these or 2 of these. Alright, I'll see you guys. Thanks, and maybe I'll see you in another Ignition review. Sayonara.